Hello, welcome, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Gregory, I'm surprised to see you here. That's great that you
Course,
showed up.
of course.
Awesome. I got a lot of note takers, but if I don't see the human here, I'm removing them because this is a human event, not
And you can remove mine. I apologize.
a problem.
I'm here. Could you let mine in, please?
Sure. Who's I'm?
This is Nick Gages.
Okay. Yeah, Nicholas is note taker. Is that you?
Yeah, probably.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Uh, just letting some folks in here. Awesome to see everybody. Wow, this is a great group of founders. I'm really excited to meet you guys. Hello, Artem. Hello, Michael. Hello, Greg. We got three Gregs in the house. How often is that happening? That's great. So I'm out of New York, and I hope I host these CEO positioning power hours. And I've got a theme for today that we can get out on the table. And the theme for today is around custom GPTs and how they can become your next AI CMO. So I'm excited to talk to you guys and ask you questions about how you're using AI today for sales and marketing. You guys maybe actually be selling AI products, which is great. But even companies that I speak to that are selling AI products are not using AI in the right way to help sell and market their business. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. I also can talk today about five shifts. Oh, wow. We got a client showing up today as well. Maria is showing. Wow, we got a great group. We can also talk about five shifts if we have time, but that's really the agenda for today. But as a way of getting started, I first want to say hello to Maria. Welcome, Maria. Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you? Looks like
Well,
you decided to join this CEO Power Hour. So, Maria, do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit to this group? I know you worked with Pitch Kitchen on making these shifts, and at least you can let everyone know that I'm not crazy.
no,
Well,
it's
maybe
great.
I'm a little crazy, but go on, Maria.
We like a bit crazy because we are a bit crazy as well. So, hi everyone. I'm Maria Pinar. I'm a co-founder for a company called AI, and yeah, we started working with Greg. Gosh, uh, about 2 months ago. um, to help us with our messaging, because I mean we were getting lost in just the busyness around just operations itself. And when I got onto the first webinar, I think with that Greg had, I was really impressed with the 5 pillars on messaging, and also being able to set up a GPT that help us craft our messaging. And that's what Greg and his team has helped us do, and with the wireframe. So we just literally launched our new site about the updated site about 3 weeks ago, and the messaging is a lot more targeted. And also when we talk to people, it's a lot more targeted, and they don't put us in the wrong boxes. So really
Great.
excited
No,
to be here.
thank you for that, Maria. Thank you. And so, I mean, the reason why I do this positioning power hour is really to help founders that are building amazing products and solutions that are really making their customers' lives better. So, first of all, if you are here today and you do not have an amazing product or solution that is not making your customers' lives better, you don't have to stay here. This will be a waste of your time. So just as a quick thumbs up, is that everybody else? If you're still here, is that is that you? And feel free to put in the chat anything about, if there's not enough airtime, put in the chat maybe this question so everyone knows you're building a great product for your customers to make their lives better and to prevent suffering. Just type in the chat what is the industry that you're in or the product that you're selling, just so we have some context here. That would be really useful. And feel free at any time to just scream out and say, hey, you got to get this off your chest. And that's totally fine. And if it gets chaotic and crazy, I'm down with chaotic and crazy. All right. So, do you think marketing is a noun or a verb? This is something that occurred to me just the other week. I think marketing often is thought of to be a verb, like do a lot of marketing and you hire marketers to do marketing all day long. That's a verb, that's an activity. But I like to consider like marketing as a noun, meaning it's the position that you're taking in the world that distinguishes what you're doing as different from what anybody else in the world is doing. Anyone want to comment on the difference between marketing as a noun or a verb? What are your thoughts on that?
I think marketing as a verb is the guy with a megaphone standing on a soapbox and actively yelling things at people, which feels very 1900s. And I think marketing as a noun is just a larger positioning ecosystem thought out
Yes.
structure.
Yeah, absolutely. And a signpost that the words that you're using to describe your position are having you struggle. These are signposts. So are you using any of these words on the screen? Just be honest. Feel free to type in the chat if so. Um, but these are signposts that you're struggling to differentiate. And by the way, if you're using GPT now, GPT is going to use these words unless you detox your large language model. And we're going to talk about how to do that today. Because I think the core of what I want to talk to today is about custom GPTs, how they can become your next AI CMO, and the three story shifts. I'm going to see if I can reduce the five shifts into three today that train a GPT to know your business and talk about it better than you can. So first of all, who here has already a custom GPT that they're using, or does anyone here want to describe what they understand to be a custom GPT, just to get our definition straight?
I have one called Vicky. I call her a bibliothecary, so kind of think of her as a librarian.
Lovely. I've named all my GPTs too, Bob and Molly. That's great. Go on.
So I uploaded my patents, my product scope documents, and we just have a history of concepts. And every time I have to apply for a pitch program and fill out the same responses, it's just streamlined it. I do find that have to often remind because it just forgets a lot and just say, no, remember I showed you this document, spit it back out to me. So it is sometimes I get a little angry at it and
Sure.
have to discipline it by just like kind of putting in the guidelines. It's like having a nod, like a pet that doesn't listen sometimes.
Yeah. And it's only getting better from here. But does anyone here have a GPT that's a brand twin? I said brand twin, meaning it knows everything about what you're selling, who you're selling it to, the problems that they have, what they need to do to be successful, how it's different from competitors out there, blah, blah, blah. That like maybe it's like a 40-page document that it's been trained on. Does anyone here have that already? I'm just curious. Besides you, Marie, besides you.
I've
So,
tried, but I've struggled with that. Um, and getting it to be focused on only what I've uploaded.
yeah.
And that's been a real struggle on our side.
Yeah, we're going to talk today about exactly how to do that step by step, and the perspectives that you need to have in that document that clarify for any large language model or clarify for anybody you're working with that you're paying money to market for you, what your position needs to be, what your marketing as a noun needs to be. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. I'd like to talk about the three shifts. So if you're down for that, that's great. If you're not down for that, feel free to bow out. You don't, need to waste time here. I would say this is not for if you're not the founder of the company or in the C-suite of your business, you don't need to be here. This is not for you. If you're not selling something that's innovative or disruptive in any way, if what you're selling is an easy thing that it doesn't rock the boat, then this is not for you. And if you don't have any paying customers yet, I think you need to have at least one paying customer because that tells me that you've got a great product or service that really what you need is better positioning to get the word out there, as well as what the right word is to position yourself as the only solution that solves the problem in that way. I also think you need to be, committed to this. If you're not committed to your business, and I think the fact that you're here in this positioning power hour tells me that you're committed to doing this, and that's great. So I see this happen a lot. A lot of people. Do you see my screen, by the way? Yeah, so this happens a lot, don't you think? Where you spend a lot of money, thousands of dollars on rebranding, but it does nothing for sales. Why do you think that happens? And any founder here want to share their experience on why you think this happens?
Usually a lot of executives kind of editing it until it's not useful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of founders believe that the product is the most important thing. And I believe the product is critically important, having a great solution. But is that enough to win? And what's more important, your product or your message? Feel free to type it in the chat or just say it out loud.
Message all day long,
Yeah. And why do you say that?
because it's about the value you're bringing to the customer, to the prospect, not
Yeah.
about what you're selling.
And what's more powerful, the stories that are being told about the situation or the facts about the situation? What have you experienced in your building your business? Do facts change people's minds?
Stories.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and why is that, Jeff?
Because we love to hear a good story. It captures us and captures our attention and our imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So if anyone here came in late, this is what the theme is today, to talk about custom GPTs and how to arrive at this place where the large language model that you've just trained, the OpenAI, I'm going to speak about OpenAI specifically today, with the GPT-5 launch, that is the foundation underneath the GPT that we've created for our clients. So it's a better GPT today than it was yesterday, and we've done nothing. It's been the OpenAI uplift, sort of like the tide that raised all the boats. And we're going to talk about the 3 story shifts that really train that GPT to know your business better than you do and to write content, to create content. When I say create diagrams, illustrations, soon videos, which I'm experimenting now, that will be on brand. On brand, meaning not just what you think your brand is now, but a really refined pitch, a refined story of who you are, why you exist. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I think, let me just put up this quick diagram. When I talk to founders about how they're using GPT today, they're typically using GPT or Chat GPT at the user level, user memory level, and they're chatting with it, and they have hundreds of chats. Chats, everything from writing emails to proposals to writing landing pages, to how they should eliminate Japanese knotweed from their garden. So if that's you, just say yes, that's you, or type in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if that's you. And then give me a 2 in the chat is if you've built custom GPTs that have been trained on exactly the story that you want to tell based on what you're selling, who you're selling it to, the problem that you're solving, the disruption in the market that you're creating, and the perspective that only you as a founder have that needs to train a GPT on. So if you've done this, give me a 2 in the chat. And if you've done 3, which is you've had tens or hundreds of chats with that trained GPT, and there's probably very few of you on that 3rd layer, where you're having hundreds of chats and your team is having hundreds of chats and creating diagrams and illustrations based on the trained AI brand twin that you've essentially created. So that's really where I think every founder here in this meeting today should be in the next few months, definitely by 2026. So, you need to get there. And that's really what I'd like to help everybody understand today. That's my goal. So giveaways, I've got 3 giveaways today. Thank you for participating. I'm going to give out the 16-part magnetic messaging framework. It's essentially a PDF that steps you to what the right story needs to be on your homepage from a storytelling perspective and making sure that you're touching all the nerves, almost like Tai Chi or whatever. What was that needle thing the Chinese do where they put needles in?
Acupuncture.
Yes, it's the acupuncture for your message, and that's what that is. So then there's the 12 sales conversations, and I created Pitch Kitchen years 2017, but I came at this not from marketing, which I still hate. Most marketing I hate. I came at it from understanding what conversations I need to be having as a salesperson with a customer. And I discovered a pattern that if I miss one critical conversation, I've lost the deal. Have you experienced that too in building your company and in selling and training your sales team? That if you miss an essential conversation, that you will lose the deal. Anyone here has experienced that? Essential conversation. So we'll talk about, well, anyway, I'm giving that away today, the 12 sales conversations that are essential, that if you miss one of these, and then I'm also giving away a free GPT that you could use that will evaluate your website and give you a score and give you some constructive critique on what recommendations, what you need to do. All right. So, by the way, if you don't know me, I wrote the book Storycraft for Disruptors. Here's the book. You can get it on Amazon. And the insights I'm sharing with you today are born out of gray hairs and my own experience and my team's experience working with customers on bringing their amazing product to market. And I have all those stories in the book, but I'll be sharing with you the 3 shifts that the founders make in order to not just sell a lot more and double their win rates, but also build a GPT that can sell better than them. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. Any questions or any concerns about what I'm about to do and what we're going to do together here today? If you feel you want to talk, get something off your chest, please do. This is a CEO positioning power hour, and I value you. I value your time, and I want to make sure you get a lot of value here. So feel free to get it off your chest if you want to speak. All right. So this is a website that is too often what I see. Creating innovative workflow technologies that drive high reliability. Now, what's wrong with a website homepage that looks like this? Anyone want to comment? And yes, feel free in the chat to put in your LinkedIn profiles to share with other CEOs here.
It's me focused. It's not you focused.
Yes. Yes. And what else? It's like, what are they selling? Who are they selling to? What problem do they solve? Like all of those, I have question marks in my mind. So when I look at this, yes, AlreadyWorks really screwed up on this, but they turned it around. They fixed it after they made the 3 shifts. But I bring this to light because most of the business-to-business websites I see that founders are really excited about an amazing solution that they have. They somehow get trapped. They get trapped around their own axle, around their own inside language. They get so excited about the features of what they're selling that somehow it doesn't resonate with their ideal customers. If you're experiencing that in your own business, just type 1 in the chat or just say, give me an example of if that is something you might be experiencing. All right. So by the way, if you wanted to schedule some time with me, I'll put in the chat a link. You can book some time with me to talk about your current situation, and we can get a plan to getting it sorted. But I look at also a lot of sales decks. Like I don't like sales decks really, but a lot of businesses still use them. But I think some businesses use them and they're really good. And I'm sure you've seen mostly bad decks, but some of them are good only if they help do what? If they help drive the right conversation. And we're going to be talking about those 12 conversations and how if you insert them in a deck, you're going to have much better results. A lot of founders use decks to compensate for their homepage not telling the story. If that's you, just give me a 3 in the chat or say something about that. A lot of founders like, oh, we just need to get them into a demo. We just need to show them the deck and then they'll understand. But that's really trying to compensate for the fact that their homepage does not tell the story. All right, so I'm not going to go through those questions, but the real problem that I see the founders have, they haven't made these 3 shifts or these 5 shifts, and I'm going to be consolidating them today. But once you make these shifts, you're going to have confidence in what you're spending on marketing because it's that activity, that bullhorn, but you're going to be using the right words, telling the right story. You should be leading your category in a category of 1 and accelerating qualification of any deals because people are going to be showing up predisposed to buy because they understand what it is that you're selling. I work with a lot of founders who make these shifts, and after they make these shifts, the whole leadership team and their sales team is running in the same direction. And that's really important because if you don't have everybody talking the same language, then you're going to have inconsistent, you're not going to be able to scale. And once you make these shifts, you will be able to create oodles of 100% on-brand content. In fact, writing better than I can, better than you can, because you're tapping the right style, the right approach, the right perspective, and the right methodology so that your AI will be writing better than you, safer than you, much faster than you, and clone. So anybody in your team could use it. That's really the power of what we're talking about today. So let's go into it. The first shift. So is it okay with you guys if I jump into these first shifts? And I'm not sure how I'm going to get 5 into 3, but I'm going to do the best I can to consolidate. Can I do that for you guys? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, feel free to come off of mute just so I can hear your voice too as well. And I'm putting in the chat here as well. If you guys can't stay and you do want to schedule some time with me to really understand what's going on and getting you a plan to make it right, please do that. All right, so the first shift, I see this again and again for winning unicorn type of founders, and I hope that's you. And what they do is they don't just sell a modern way or a better approach or a better mousetrap. They actually lead a movement. So I get that you guys are here are selling an innovation, but if there's anybody here that wants to just say 30 seconds, they're really excited about the innovation that you're selling, I'd like to hear a little bit about that. Just one person here, talk about the innovation that you're selling. And what does that innovation challenge?
I'll go. We built the platform that we're selling because there was no intent data out there that actually worked. And I'm having a good week. We just upgraded our LLM, which produces the intent, and we see a 2.5 X lift in accuracy, not growth. So smaller audiences, but so targeted that the conversion rates have gone up higher.
Wonderful. I love that. Thank you,
yeah,
Gregory.
yeah.
And so, by the way, Gregory, are you open to some coaching here in this?
Of course, always.
Great. So that was a really great summary of it. Sounds like an amazing innovation that's helping a lot of people, and that's great. But unless you do this one thing, the innovations that you guys are selling are staying in the box of, oh, that sounds great, but I'm busy, or that sounds great, but how do I use it? Or that's great, how do I know if I use it? So unless you do this one thing, which is leading a movement against an enemy that both you and your customers have in common. So Greg, if you're open to some coaching, what might you think is the enemy, the common enemy that you have that this product helps overcome, and the customers that would buy your really feel that enemy every day?
The big, I don't know how to describe it as an enemy, but the biggest objection that we get is, well, we've tried intent data, it doesn't work, or we didn't really see the lift.
Right, but what were they trying to accomplish that they can't because of this enemy?
Generate revenue, generate sales, grow their
Well,
business.
they're doing that. They're generating sales. They have to be, or else they wouldn't be in business. So that's still not the
Right.
enemy. So this is the work, and I'm
Okay.
recommending the work that you got it behind me. I don't know if you can see it, but it says if you don't name the real enemy, your message will never win the war. It's just going to hang out there and be drowning in solution messages. Does anyone else here, founder, want to comment on what it means to have your message drown in solution messages?
Oh,
Anyone here want to comment on what that means to you? Do you ever find that your message is getting confused with other messages, and you've got prospects talking to your team and confusing what you're offering with solutions that are nothing like yours?
yeah, I mean, we got really stuck in that we were, I call it, boxed in with financial back office operation companies, which is not what, I mean, it's maybe part of what we do, but not really what we did. And that was because our messaging was all over the place. And it was, again, sort of solution focused.
Thank you, Maria. And so what we're telling you now, this first shift as a founder, Gregory, and other founders, Vac, Tommy, Artem, all of you guys need to do, if you haven't done already, is really identify who the enemy is. Because like look what Salesforce.com did. They did this back in like before they were a billion-dollar company. They attacked software, CRM software, and it was about moving to the cloud. This is way back. And that really worked. So they did a great job in attacking the enemy and leading a movement. So the new way to pitch is not just to make claims about how great the innovation is and why it will get you faster revenue or higher quality or faster time, because people don't believe claims like that. And even if they do believe, they're just busy. They're just like overloaded by solution speak. That doesn't work anymore. What does cut through the noise is taking the position, and this is why training the GPT with the right positioning is critical for GPT to actually generate, great messaging that's going to cut through the noise and get you sales. If you make this one shift and train the GPT as such, where you're taking the position as a rebel leader, encouraging change, and you're taking the position that, look, the world has changed. The old way of approaching it doesn't work anymore. But if you want to do it the old way, that's fine. It will soon become life and death. Is this resonating with you, any of the founders here, that you really need to be leading a movement that perhaps shakes their confidence in a good way, that maybe the approach that they're taking to win is no longer working? Maybe it's a bit polarizing. Maybe it's a clear binary statement. These are from Chris Orlov, and I totally like the way he's describing it here. It changes the way your buyer thinks about the problem. Would anyone like to comment on what this means to lead a movement and to have a position that attacks an enemy like that? Anyone?
I'll do it.
Please. Jan.
So we have started about 11 months ago a monthly roundtable for coaches and publishing executives and would-be or want-to-be authors to battle or to guide us through the crossroads of content and AI, content creation and AI. So it started with a roundtable on a monthly basis, and then it moved into a MS Teams to support each other. And now we're doing a weekly office hours for people to just come in and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
So we have created an ecosystem that will hopefully in the future help people establish themselves with authority and move forward with community.
Great. If you don't mind, that wasn't the question. The question was,
oh, I'm sorry.
What
I missed it.
What are you rebelling against is the question, not what systems are you putting in place to
I thought it must be the question before that. I was sorry about that.
So if you want to answer this one, or would anyone like to say, if you're selling an innovation, a lot of you guys said you're building an amazing product, solution, services for your customers that is really making their world a better place. I swear I heard you say it. You guys are here because of that, right? So what are you rebelling against? If you can really dial this in, this is going to help your positioning in your GPT conversations.
I could jump in. So we're Ambistream, we're a social TV app. It's kind of a hybrid of social media and streaming television where people can create their own channels and these multi-layered media mixes. And the issue that we're seeing is that AI generated media is just taking over the internet, and there's not really a way to tag it and kind of have the differentiation. So a lot of original creators are getting sort of flooded with all this content, and it's hard to stand out. And there aren't many platforms that differentiate this properly.
So what are you rebelling against?
Let's say a lot of it's these legacy systems that don't really have the nuance in determining what's created by people or AI or multiple stakeholders. So we're creating a new remix culture. So it's
legacy systems are hard to unseat, aren't they?
Yeah.
So unless you get clear on what you're really rebelling against, what is it about those legacy? What approach does the legacy systems take that is no longer serving your customer? You haven't nailed this one. So
I would say like copyright specifically, just because it's very much binary, like on or off, and we're trying to add shades of gray to this.
Okay.
So it's so funny. It's easier to do it for him than it is for yourself.
Why is it important
Right?
to rebel
Like, I
and
can
not
hear
just
it.
change?
Do it for me, please.
Go for it. Yeah.
I mean, if you tie it to the Star Wars theme you had up there, right? Like all the big platforms are putting out AI generated content and you don't know the truth. There's a lack of understanding of what's real and what's not real. I mean, look at what's happened in our political dialogue, right? Discourse that's happened. So, I mean, that is the real or what did you call it, Greg? I'm sorry,
Rebellion.
the rebellion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely, Gregory. Thank
Why
you.
does it
So
have to be rebellion and not just change?
yeah, so good idea. So it is about change. I just like to notch it up a little
I
bit
got it.
to make it clear.
Yeah, I got
It
it.
is about change. And if you don't change how your buyer thinks, you're dead. So there's a lot of noise out there. So if you lead a rebellion and get really like gloves off, it helps cut through the noise. It helps get clear on what you're telling people to stop doing, what you're telling people to start doing. If you're not clear about this, you're not leading a movement. So anyway, enough about this. I want to get on to the second shift that you guys want to make. But before we do, is there anything that I can clarify about this first shift that you need to make and get, write it down, get it really clear, journal about it. And this has to be part of what you're training your GPTs on. And this is what we help our clients with as an outsider, by the way. But yes, this is what needs to be done. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of noise and generic stuff out of GPT. Any questions that you have or that I can answer to make it clear about what leading a movement is? Because I believe sales is an act of leadership. I think marketing is an act of leadership as well. And that's why I believe you need to be leading a movement, leading an uprising, or leading a rebellion. So I know a lot of us dream about getting on the TED Talk stage, and it taps that nerve. Like, I don't believe TED Talks do anything for anybody. They're just entertaining. I don't believe anyone actually changes their behavior from watching a TED Talk. But by tapping this, what would I do? What would I talk about if I had a TED Talk stage for 30 minutes? It helps create a vision for the world where that enemy is overcome. So this is just a helpful mental exercise. So like live anywhere. So the other good mental exercise as a founder that you can do is like if you had a billboard in Times Square for 24 hours and you had 3 words or 2 words to put on there that would really speak to your ideal customers of what they need to do to be successful, what would those 3 words be? By the way, feel free to type them in the chat or say them out loud. I don't want a War and Peace or a long, actually, I just want, what are those few words? Like, this is powerful stuff. By the way, was it 4 or 5 words got Donald Trump elected president? I'm sure you know what those words are. So words are powerful things, especially as a founder, as a leader of a business, to train a GPT on the position that you're taking, the vision that you have, and how the world needs to be better based on your product. So I like this from Airbnb because no one actually, this is aspirational. No one actually lives 365 days in Airbnbs. Okay, maybe somebody does, but not 99% of their customers. But it's aspirational. So these are hashtags that you've seen before. When we're talking about leading a movement, I like to put them up here as to consider because they have a pattern here. What do all these have in common? And Maria, you can't answer this. I'm sorry. Because
I'm listening.
what do all these have in common?
A lot of them are commands.
Commands. Interesting. Commands. What else do they have in common? So a lot of hashtags don't work and they just get drowned out in the noise. But if you can train your GPT on giving it a hashtag that really speaks to the seed form of what's most resonant for your ideal customers, it is calling them to action. All of these call people to action. All of them start with a verb. And all of them speak to the outcomes or the place that their customers want to go to. Does that make sense, what I'm describing, the pattern here? So if you guys have a hashtag that you're using, type it in the chat or throw it out there here. This is a CEO founders like roundtable. Let's hear it. And if you're open to coaching, I'm happy to offer it. But I'll tell you why Hit Your Number is very good. Zoom Info sells the most boring shit in the world. They sell data. But their hashtag is not buy our data. Why isn't their hashtag buy our data? Even if their data is excellent. Or buy our shit. Why isn't that's their hashtag? Why is it hit your number instead? You're on mute, Gregory. I'm sorry.
That's the goal of the person buying that product.
Yes.
That is by far the goal. So it's a good hashtag.
Yeah, it is good. It's good. All right, guys. So if you want to put in your hashtag, that you're using, I'm happy to give you a critique. If not, this is something that you need to train your GPT on as well. So it's that core story. All right. So let's get on to the second shift. And I'm not going to go into some of the other great CEOs we work with because I've got a wonderful CEO here at this workshop with you, Maria. Here, you can ask her any questions if you like. So this is shift number 2, fall in love with the problem. And, I'm all about the enemy and the problem because people take action. People buy typically in business. When have you found people buy when there is a real problem, when there's really, a challenge? I mean, that's really where budget is found. Have you guys found that? Like, that's why you're selling, I imagine, your solution. So this is why I say not start with your solution, because you're selling in a sea of innovations, of solutions. But when you fall in love with the problem, you're differentiating what you're selling, you're cutting through the noise, and you're valuing the problem. Now, do you feel like, yes or no, do you feel that today in your current marketing, I'm using that as a noun, like your position, as well as your activity, are you undervaluing the problem that your prospects are dealing with today and facing today, and perhaps overvaluing the glory of your solution? Yes, no, maybe.
I'll say yes.
Yes. Yeah. So this is thank you, Greg. Thank you, Gregory, for saying that out loud. This is really foundational because when you're working with your GPT and you're building out the knowledge that it has about what you're selling, why people should care, the idea is to really nail the problem in such concrete terms that it's unmistakable that when someone reads what's on your homepage, that they get that you understand their problem better than they understand it themselves, which automatically positions you guys as an expert or as your solution as the best solution. Does that make sense? What I'm recommending you do? You take this problem-centric approach versus a solution-centric. I was like, raised on this like solution-centric selling model, but I realize that doesn't work now anymore. Problem-centric works so much better. This is actually a website that I took from someone that came to the CEO Masterclass. I couldn't believe it when I saw it, but this is pretty terrible. What's the problem with having a web page that tries to tell people like how that we're courageous and that we're trustworthy and accountable and how great we are? Does this actually work to convince people of who we are or what our product is?
I think
But are we a little, what's that?
off like a bullshit filter for me.
Yeah, it is. But are we a little bit all guilty from falling into this trap of solution-centric marketing? And so the good news is the world definitely needs your solution. I get it. But the trick is that money follows pain. This is the principle. When you're selling your solution, Gregory, I can just say Greg, and I'm already talking to 2 guys here, which is pretty cool. If have you found this to be true that that businesses buy from your company when they have acknowledged themselves that there's a real problem? This is another principle based on this, that do you feel that customers buy more when they're feeling understood than when they understand everything about your solution? Have you ever had a prospect, yes or no, that has understood everything about your solution but didn't buy? And why is that?
Didn't build trust or didn't drive to their pain. But
Yeah.
I would say, but didn't build trust.
So I've found that people are twice more likely to buy something to relieve pain than gain something. Have you found this to be true as well? So that's why if you're feature selling or your product selling, it's not going to work. So that's why the second shift, when you're training your GPT in that same document, we call it a magnetic messaging document. It needs to describe to GPT in very clear language, why does your customer need to change? Why now? And why does it make sense to change with your solution? This is often missing from most marketing that we see out there. So another example of this, the old way, is starting with the solution, saying things that we help companies achieve these great things. The new way, and the way to train your GPT, is we help companies that are struggling with something achieve great things. So it inserts that and it starts with the problem. Any questions about that? Any concerns about being problem centric versus solution centric in your marketing? Greg, Artem, Jeff.
I just wanted
Nick.
to say I have a B2B2C marketplace, so I have a challenge between what the issues are for the creators and the creator economy, but then ultimately I have to also get users and advertisers. So my brain just jumps around and it's hard to settle on something.
That's fine. You don't need to settle now. This is like I'm putting some ideas into the fertile ground of your imagination, and I want them to take root and they'll grow.
Okay.
So this is a diagram you've seen, Crossing the Chasm, Jeffrey Moore. In my book, this is called Buyer's Belief Curve. And I've learned this from my own skin. I'm sure you've seen this too, that when someone is feeling that the risk of doing nothing is greater than the risk of, uh, of changing, uh, then they're gonna buy. They're gonna do something. They're gonna do something. Maybe they're gonna make the wrong choice. They'll buy the wrong thing. But your job in the selling and the marketing of your website and your sales deck in all of your marketing communications needs to be speaking to people about what happens if they do nothing, and by the way, what the right thing needs to be based on the world and why things have changed. So this is a model of marketing that has you actually ignore a large part of the market, educate some people, influence a smaller group, and encourage the hell out of people to make a change once they're already decided that they have to do something. And this could be looked at as a funnel or a top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. I like to look at it as a curve. Any questions or comments about this? It's a bit of a thought of experiment, but I think it's helpful for people. Is this helpful for you to think about why people buy? Okay, I'm getting silence there. All right. I know that people typically don't buy because they don't really care about your why. They believe the things that they come to learn, not the things that you tell them. I see so many websites. This is an example of a really great website, by the way. This is ReadyWorks Health. You saw the previous website. This is the after website. And this is so good because it's problem centric and it really makes it clear who they serve and what happens without them. But this is powerful stuff. So any questions
Wait,
about, yeah.
yeah, you said get rid of the why. So that would flip that whole golden circle thing on its head. That puts the why at the forefront or in the
Yeah.
center, right?
Yeah.
And I understand from a messaging standpoint, patience before paper makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
But when you say nobody cares about the why you built it, because that's really your enemy,
So the orange,
is the why.
well, it could be part of your messaging that you built. Well, like Obi-Wan helps Luke. He has a backstory. He was a Jedi and, won the Clone Wars. So, he has a why as well. But Luke doesn't really care about that so much as, what Luke is trying to accomplish in that. So I think if you position yourself as the guide of the story, your why will take a back seat. It will be there, but it won't be front and center in your messaging. By the way, it needs to be there in the document so the GPT understands your why and your origin story, because that's often helpful at some stage of the selling process, but it's typically not important. It's not the top 10 thing that your customers need, in my experience.
May I jump in?
Yeah.
So Gregory, I don't care why you built what you built, right? but I do care that I can't get good buyer intent. Right? It doesn't exist. By the way, I'm talking to Zoom Info, DMB about building them some stuff because can't get it.
I
Right?
love that. That's Tommy. Who's
So
speaking? Tommy Wilson? Who's speaking?
yeah, it's Tommy.
Tommy Simon. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. So Tommy, I think origin stories are good, but they're not first and foremost. So that's the point I wanted to make. All right. So here's also a CEO we worked with. He went from 137 customers to almost 3,000 in 12 months from making these shifts. So I know that this stuff works. I know that it's hard to do. There are blind spots. I know marketers that you pay money to monthly are happy to take your money to market all day long and to make you feel good about your product, but it's not necessarily going to help you turn into sales unless it's positioned right. All right, so you guys ready for shift 3? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, thumbs up, maybe. That's the easiest way. So make your customers the hero. So if you've read Donald Miller's story brand, this is an essential thing you need to do. Most people, most businesses read StoryBrand and they butcher the hell out of actually implementing how to make the customer the hero. They don't know how to do it. And it's often because they haven't really mapped out the other characters of the story. And so we talked about who the enemy or the villain is. So you need to do that. You need to get clear on who the enemy is. And maybe it's legacy systems. Maybe it's more detailed than that. You're playing the guide. There are adversaries maintaining legacy systems, and their livelihood is based on the old way of staying in place. You're describing the promised land, the place that your customer can be, that TED Talk, like the wonderful world that they could live in if they're actually using your product or service. That's what we call the promised land. You got to get that really clear. And there's victims of the story. So if your customer doesn't use your solution, there's right now there's fallout. There's suffering going on in their business, in their customers' business, all sorts of fallout. Those are victims. And when you're training your GPT, you do need to describe to the GPT all the characters of the story so that when it's writing something, it has full context. Speaking of context, prompt engineering is dead. What is live now is context engineering, which is giving the GPT the full context it needs to understand your story. And once it has that, I shit you not, it's going to write in a way that's going to give you goosebumps because it's going to sell better than you, understand your customers better than you once you give it a perspective like this. So this, I would say, is an important step to do in your magnetic messaging framework document. That's what we're calling it, but essentially it's a training document for GPT where you're outlining who the guide is, who the victims are, the champions, the villains. Any questions about who the victims might be in your story or what the promised land might be or who the adversaries are? Any questions about these characters and who they are in your story? I'm happy to brainstorm. I love storytelling stuff. So the villain, by the way, is not your competitor. Your competitor is not the villain. Why isn't your competitor the villain of the story?
Usually it would be more like a concept or like an adversary would be more the competitors, right?
Yes, adversaries would be competitors, correct. Yes. Villain is more of a worldview, like a legacy system, like is there because there was a worldview in place that created that system. So the villain doesn't have to be bad. It's just it is. It has a worldview that is in opposition to your worldview. The hero and villains have a connection in that way. But the hero's worldview is not only different, but, well, I guess the hero and villain have similar constructs because they just have opposing worldviews. Like, what did Vader wanted? Peace in the galaxy, right? The Empire wanted peace, right? So it's possible that you can construe the villain to be a hero in some sense. Anyway, I'm going down the rabbit hole of the archetype of storytelling right now, which I'm a total student of. I read Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces, and I love that stuff. I also love Disney storytelling, which is a master of that. So, if you're the guide, who's the villain of the story? So right now, this is a CEO Power Hour. type in the chat or come off of mute and tell me who the villain of your story is. Anyone want to give it a shot? And if not, anyone want to say now, just what is your homepage obsessed with now? Is it obsessed with your, or in love with your solution, or is it obsessed with the hero becoming successful? And this is a clear thing. You can look at your website now and it's binary. It's yes or no. It's what's the voice right now? What voice are we using? So does anyone want to say what voice they're using on their website? And by the way, this is important because we need to train the GPTs to use a certain voice. Would anyone like to comment what voice they're using?
Can I go
Yeah,
back to the villain thing? Because I loaded it into my chat GPT and I got an interesting answer.
Go on.
Yeah, so it said that based in the systemic, it's unattributed AI content floods, opaque algorithms, and centralized profit first platforms, which is different than the adversaries, which were centralized big tech platforms and bad actor AI models. So I thought that was interesting because it is based on how you described it. I was like, okay, this is differentiation for me. And my website needs a lot of help. It's just me talking about what I want to talk about and not what people want to hear.
Thank you. And who's talking now? I'm sorry.
Michael.
Oh, Michael.
Michael.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Michael, thank you for being so honest and thank you for acknowledging this is the work. This is the work that I'm passionate about helping founders like you do. Because once you get this voice right, it's gonna, you'll be able to train your GPT to do it, and then you'll have that AI CMO that's going to be right on brand. So, all right. So in the last few minutes that we have, I want to get through. Yeah. So by the way, if you want to meet with me, you can snap this QR code or click on in the chat the link to book some time, and we could help you get this clear, get this nailed down. So Patricia, just by the way, another creative, innovative founder we worked with. Before she made these shifts, missing sales targets, frustrated with performance. After, she doubled the sales rate in 3 months, the win rate, that is, in 3 months. And at this time, when I wrote this slide, was poised for acquisition. She actually got acquired, which was wonderful. That was her exit for the company. And I'm really, really happy for her. All right. So shift number 4. So I'll give you a hint. Shift number 5 is how to create that GPT. And if we have time, I'm going to show you how to do it. But shift number 4 is a piece that you need to train the GPT on, and that is naming the category that you're in. And it's typically a prefix or a pre-word, a type of computing or a type of thing or a certain unique approach, like accelerated computing is what NVIDIA uses for their new product. So if you look at some successful categories of one, like comfort ownership, vacation ownership, it's a thing that they're selling that is different than anything else out there. And so what they've done is they've taken an existing category that they're in and they put in a word in front of it. And this is a really effective way to be different and help drive distinction. So ReadyWorks is, I mentioned that company before. They're about smart forms versus checklists. The old category is checklist, new category is smart forms. Clipper is about video intelligence. Cognition is about information driven. Trilio is about intelligent recovery versus just data backup and recovery, which is their world. A CCO versus a PPO healthcare plan. So they leveraged off of the PPO acronym, but went in a completely different direction. It's very successful for them. But it's a completely different type of health plan. And you can look at some of these that even Dropbox used, smart workspace, like it's a workspace, but how is it different? Or predictive logistics, or a rich internet application. That was back in 2002 from Macromedia. So these are examples throughout history of successful companies, but I'm encouraging you as founders to think about what your unique category is. So if you know what your unique category is, just say it now, or if you want to discuss it, that one you're thinking about, or type it in the chat. Anyone want to share what their unique category is? And I don't know what to mean by the silence here. Maybe have you guys don't have a category? What is your existing category that you're selling in? Forget about unique category. What's the existing category that you're in?
I have buyer intent as the category, and
Buyer
then
and
person-based
buyer intent what? Buyer intent data. Buyer intent
buyer
data.
intent data. And
Okay.
then my focus category is person-based buyer intent data.
Great. Thank you, Gregory. That's a unique category. So Gregory's example there was perfect.
Yeah. Ours are simply smart operations.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to say a little more about why that makes sense for your industry?
Yeah, so basically for our industry, what happens a lot with busy teams and growth companies is they focus so much on manual operations. So that's the enemy, or duct tape systems that's just slapped together, and that wastes time. So when you do smart operations, it's a new category, shifting them from chaos to clarity and smooth, a way that the business operates more effectively.
Great. Thank you, Maria. All right. In the last few minutes, I'm going to breeze through this shift number 5. And this is what most CEOs haven't done yet, most founders, but y'all need to do this by 2026. It's essentially a messaging framework document that it engineers context for the GPTs so that you're not getting GPT to give you language like this. Have you seen words like this? Navigate, unleash, dive in. I made a list of just words that are just like ugh, of marketing from 2015, and it's vague, it's fuzzy. And so you need to get AI to become the AI brand twin, and you do that through engaging with an outside expert such as myself or my firm to facilitate discussions, to get the spaghetti on the wall, so to speak, and pull out the gold that's already there, and use the problem first framework. Then once you've got that, to use that framework to train the GPT that generates all this on-brand content, and then of course transform that to a website, presentations, content at 25x efficiency that you're not spending, monthly on marketing content because you've got a really great GPT-5 engine that's creating that. And so this is an ugly diagram, but essentially all these things that you want to build, like ads, proposals, social posts and blog, web design, this could be done at 25x efficiency with that trained GPT, but you only get there from doing this little hard work element up front, intakes, validation. Validation with customers is an important step. So, we'll want to make sure that this messaging is sticky before we double down on it. So anyway, this is the secret weapon, and we typically work in 3-month sprints to get everything that you need done in 3 months. And I like this 3 months because a lot of founders hire a chief marketing officer for $350,000, and they stay for about 12 months after doing a lot of interviews, and they don't produce anything, or they'll leave or get fired. And it's not me that's saying that; that's just data. But what we like to do is instead of do that, we deliver all the things a CMO would deliver in 12 months, hopefully in 3 months, and get your GPT built and used by your team in 3 months. These are all the hard questions, like what's the promised land? I love this. Where you're taking your customers to. What's the plan? Like, how are they going to get there in their terms? What's the plan? Too many websites don't have a plan, and GPT is not going to help you with that unless you tell it what the plan is for your business, what the ideal plan for your customers to take. So by step 3 or step 4, they are at the promised land. They're successful. And so what this ugly thing looks like is essentially a document. But our large language models eat for breakfast documents like this in nanoseconds, and they find the patterns in documents like this. And once they have this, you give it style, then you give it tone, then you give it frames of what outputs you want, and it'll give you goosebumps on what you'll get. So does this diagram here that I shared earlier, I'm sharing it again, does this now make more sense of why you need to be operating with GPT at that 3rd level at the top and how you'd get there? any questions about this model of working with GPT or large language models, where you need to give it that context and have it work for you at that third level? Okay, cool. I'm experimenting now. Have you guys experimenting with Notebook LM? Like Gemini is making podcasts, and so these podcasts were created using the framework documents that were uploaded, and this Notebook LM generated like a 15-minute podcast with a male and female voice that has been just trained on the framework document, and they are compelling. They are interesting. Yes, they're AI generated. It's only going to get better, but they're actually being used. They're useful by these customers. This is actually on YouTube from Ormus. So I'm seeing examples of how AI is being used, like, and also videos. I'm seeing some customers jump into creating videos based on the trained context. All right, guys. So we're at time now. We're at 5 o'clock. I'm going to stop the share and just sort of go around the room. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you hanging in for all of this. Was this useful? Was this valuable time spent for you? And do you have any comments or questions about how I could help? You can certainly buy my book. We can certainly talk in the future, but give me one thing as you're leaving that you got out of this hour that you spent of your life. What's one thing that you got out of it?
I think for me, it was
For me-
focus on the problem.
Thank you.
Really highlight the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was trying to figure out my villain.
I was thinking this is the first time creating a new phrase or a new concept category was actively encouraged, because usually people tell me to not do that and just embrace words that people know. And I like that this wants us to create messaging around the uniqueness.
Great. Thank you.
Defining all the characters in the story, including the villain, not just the hero.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. No, thank you. I find that really useful too. Anything from the folks on mute? Artem?
Nothing from me, Greg. Thank you.
Good. I hope this was useful. Okay. Great, everybody. Thank you very much. And keep on rocking in the free world. Again, if you wanted to book some time with me, you've got the link. Be
Yeah.
well.
Thanks.
Okay.
Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Greg. Always so helpful.
Thank you so much.
Every time I learn more.
Thank you, Maria. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.